I was a product manager for a software company, and I always played music on the weekends with bands and things like that. And a couple of years ago, I retired, and now I teach English part-time, and I spend the rest of the time playing music as much as I can.
So maybe you could share with us what your music activities are like these days. So how does it look like? You wake up and start playing, or I don't know, just give us some picture.
Well, I do wake up and start playing. I usually, the first thing when I get up in the morning is I am learning piano. I'm just a beginner, but I try to spend a half an hour on the piano before I have breakfast. And then during the day, I just have this routine that I go through. I have scales and I have pieces that I'm working on, different styles of music, blues, jazz, fingerstyle guitar. I have a study plan where I, have a checklist of things that I have to work on every day, and I go through my plan and I go through my rehearsal routine. Plus, I'm playing in a bunch of different groups right now.
What instruments do you play on?
Mostly I play guitar. I also play a little bit of mandolin. I've fooled around with blues harmonica and a little bit of Irish tin whistle.
Okay.
Tin whistle is an interesting instrument because my understanding is that it was invented by Irish people who were during the famine, the Great Potato Famine, in like 1850 or something like 1 million people in Ireland died from starvation. And a lot of people left Ireland, and they didn't have any, they had very few resources, but they had these tin plates, and they would take these plates and bend them around and make a whistle out of them. And so they could make music out of anything. I saw a group from Africa, from Ghana, and one of the players had an instrument that he had made out of a piece of stick and a tin can with a wire hung between it. And he played this thing, and he sounded wonderful. He was just a street kid that somehow now is traveling around the world playing music on this thing that he made from a junkyard, So anything is possible if you have imagination.
How do you choose the music to learn or to play? Or, what maybe kinds of music do you like?
Well, Louis Armstrong, the great trumpet player, once said there's only two kinds of music, good music and bad music. So I like both. I like all kinds of music. I like, there are a few musicians that I especially like. For popular music, I like very good guitar players. I mean, everybody likes people like Clapton and Mark Knopfler and people like that, or Sting and people like that, of course. For young musicians, there's a guy named Jacob Collier from England, and he's a genius. He's absolutely amazing. And I really like his music. He's just he's beyond anything I've ever heard. There's a band called Snarky Puppy. It's a jazz band that's really a fantastic band. They're a great band. What
are the best parts of your experience like a musician? So when you feel that what's going on now is good for you, and that's the thing I play music for.
When I'm playing with a group of musicians and we're all paying attention to each other, we're all listening to each other, it's a problem when you play like with a rock band, or when you play with musicians who are not professionals, is that people tend to not listen to each other. They tend to, the music gets to be too loud and people are not really together. there's a kind of narcissism or egotism that happens. But sometimes you have an experience where people are really listening to each other, they're grooving with each other, they're experiencing each other, and they're playing together rather than just being 4 or 5 or 10 people who are standing in the same room playing the same chords, but they're not really playing together. So to me, it's when we're listening to each other and communicating with each other.